My beloved child, this is crazy. Yes, I say it with joy overflowing from my heart. You pulled it off at last. You have been walking through a season where even you were not sure how the story would end. There were days when your hands trembled from carrying too much. Nights when you stared into the silence, wondering if your efforts meant anything at all. You questioned your strength. You questioned your direction. At times, you'd even questioned yourself. But look at you now. What you thought would break you has bowed before you. What once looked impossible now stands behind you as proof that you endured. And I am telling you today, this moment is not small. This is not ordinary. This is not luck. This is the fruit of every tear you shed when no one else was watching. This is the result of every time you chose to stand up again when it would have been easier to stay down. You almost walked away, didn't you? There were moments when quitting whispered softly in your ear. It told you that you had tried enough, and told you that you had reached your limit. It told you that the dream was too far, the healing too slow, the breakthrough too distant. But something inside you refused to agree with that voice. It's something with the strength I planted deep within your spirit. And now here you stand, surprised at yourself. Even you did not fully see this version of you coming. You underestimated the resilience forming inside your heart. You underestimated the quiet courage growing in your bones. You thought you were barely surviving, but all along, you were becoming. My child, heaven has watched every step of this journey. I saw the discipline you developed when no one applauded you. I saw the prayers you whispered when you felt foolish for still hoping. I saw the effort, the persistence, the silent determination. Nothing was wasted. Not a single struggle slipped past my eyes. This breakthrough is not only about what you achieved. It is about who you became in the process. You did not just reach a goal. You grew. You stretched. You matured. The pressure that surrounded you was shaping you into someone stronger than you had ever been before. And yes, it feels unreal. It feels almost too good to accept. After so much resistance, victory can feel unfamiliar. But do not shrink back now. Do not downplay what has happened. This moment is sacred. This is the turning point you prayed for when you thought I was silent. I was never silent. I was preparing you. Today, I want you to pause and breathe this in. Let the realization settle into your heart. You made it through. You pulled it off. And this is only the beginning of what I am about to unfold in your life. My beloved child, while you celebrate this breakthrough, I want you to understand something deeply personal. I saw every silent battle you fought to get here. There were wars inside you that no one else could see. Battles that did not leave bruises on your skin, but left you exhausted in your soul. You smiled in public while inside you were asking, how much longer? You showed up for others while wondering who would show up for you. You kept moving forward even when your heart felt heavy and your thoughts felt loud. I saw the nights when sleep escaped you, when your mind replayed every mistake, every delay, every fear, when doubt tried to rewrite your story and convince you that you were not enough. You turned on your pillow, hoping rest would quiet the storm. But the storm followed you into the darkness. And still, you woke up the next morning and tried again. Do you remember those moments when you felt completely alone? When it seemed like everyone else was advancing while you were standing still? You questioned your timing. You questioned your worth. You wondered if you had somehow missed your chance. But what you did not see was that I was holding you steady in a season that could have swept you away. There were tears you wiped quickly so no one would ask questions. There were prayers you barely whispered because you were too tired to say much more. Sometimes all you could say was help me. And even when your words were few, I heard the language of your heart clearly. You thought your small efforts did not matter. You thought the tiny steps forward were insignificant. But every time you chose patience instead of panic, that was a victory. Every time you chose faith instead of fear, that was growth. Every time you resisted the urge to give up, even if it was by the smallest margin, you were building strength. Let me tell you a secret about those silent seasons. They are sacred. Just as a seed grows underground where no one applauds it, you were developing beneath the surface. Roots were stretching deeper. Character was forming quietly. Endurance was taking shape. The world did not see it, but I did. And what grows in secret often becomes unshakable in public. There were moments when you misunderstood my silence. You thought I had stepped back. You thought I was distant. But my silence was not absence. It was trust. I trusted the strength I placed inside you. I trusted that you would rise. And even when you stumbled, I was there to steady you. When you felt like you were barely holding on, I was holding you. When you felt weak, I was carrying what you could not carry. When you felt unseen, I was closer than your next breath. My beloved child, you were never fighting alone. I saw how you resisted becoming bitter. That was not easy. You had reasons to harden your heart. You had reasons to shut down. But instead, you kept your heart open. You kept loving. You kept hoping. The choice required more courage than you realize. I saw how you kept learning, even through disappointment. You did not let pain define you. You allowed it to teach you. You adjusted. You grew wiser. You became more discerning. You did not waste your suffering. You transformed it into strength. And now that you stand on this side of the struggle, I want you to honor that journey. Do not forget the version of you who kept going when everything felt uncertain. That version of you is the reason you are here. That version of you is proof that resilience lives within you. Nothing you endured was meaningless. Every silent battle prepared you for this visible victory. Every tear watered the ground beneath your feet. Every prayer built a bridge to this moment. My child, I saw it all. I counted every effort. I treasured every act of faith. And I am proud of you not only for what you achieved, but for how you endured when no one was watching. My beloved child, there were moments along this journey when you were convinced you had failed. You replayed certain decisions in your mind and labeled them mistakes. You looked at delays and called them defeat. You compared your timeline to others and quietly concluded that you must have fallen behind. But I need you to see those moments through my eyes now. What you called failure, I called formation. There were doors that closed in your face, and you thought it meant you were not worthy. You thought it meant you were not capable. You wondered if you had misunderstood the path entirely. But those closed doors were not punishment. They were protection. I was redirecting you away from spaces that would have drained you, diminished you, or delayed you even longer. Do you remember that opportunity you lost? At the time, it felt crushing. You invested hope into it. You imagined the outcome. When it slipped away, you felt embarrassed and confused. But what you could not see was that it was not aligned with the person you were becoming. Had it worked out the way you wanted, it would have anchored you to a smaller vision than the one I have for you. You also judged yourself harshly for the times you stumbled. When you lost patience. When fear spoke louder than faith. When you hesitated instead of stepping forward boldly. You thought those moments erased your progress. But growth is not a straight line. Even in your missteps, you were learning. Even in your hesitation, You were gaining awareness. Failure, as you defined it, was never the end of your story. It was a refining process. Just as the sculptor chips away at stone to reveal the masterpiece inside, those difficult moments were chiseling away fear, pride, insecurity, and doubt. You felt the discomfort of it, but you did not see the beauty being revealed. There were seasons when you worked hard and saw no immediate reward. You gave your best and received little in return. That made you question your value. You wondered if your effort mattered at all. But I was building endurance inside you. I was teaching you to be steady, not just successful. I was strengthening your roots so that when the wind came, you would not fall. My beloved child, some of your greatest progress happened in seasons you labeled as setbacks. You became more compassionate because you knew what it felt like to struggle. You became more patient because you had experienced delay. You became more humble because you knew how fragile success can be. Those qualities are treasures that cannot be gained without walking through what you walked through. You thought you were behind, but I was aligning circumstances in ways you could not see. You thought you were losing time, but I was preparing the right moment. Timing is not about speed, it is about readiness. And when the moment finally arrived, you were ready in ways your past self could never have imagined. Let me tell you something clearly. Your story was never defined by your lowest moment. It was shaped by your decision to rise after it. Each time you stood up again, you rewrote the narrative. Each time you chose to try again, you proved that resilience was stronger than disappointment. You are not the person who failed. You are the person who learned. You are not the one who fell short. You are the one who grew taller through adversity. What you once saw as evidence against you has become evidence of your strength. So release the old labels. Release the shame you attached to seasons that were simply part of your becoming. There is no condemnation in my voice, only understanding and pride. I never measured you by perfection. I measured you by perseverance. And look at you now, standing stronger, wiser, softer in heart yet firmer in spirit. What you thought would define you as a failure has instead defined you as faithful. My child, nothing was wasted. Not the detours, not the delays, not even the disappointments. I was writing a story of resilience through every chapter you doubted. My beloved child, there was a moment when you reached what you thought was your breaking point. You remember it clearly. Your strength felt thin. Your hope felt fragile. You told yourself, I cannot carry this any longer. And in that very moment, something sacred was happening beneath the surface. You believed you were breaking apart, but in truth, you were breaking open. Pressure has a way of revealing what comfort never could. When everything was stable, you relied on what you could see. But when the pressure increased, when the ground beneath you felt unstable, you began to reach deeper. You began to pray differently. You began to think differently. You began to depend on me in a way you never had before. That breaking point stripped away illusions. It removed the belief that you had to control everything. It removed the false strength of pretending you were fine. It removed the habit of carrying burdens that were never yours to carry alone. What felt like collapse was actually surrender. And surrender is not weakness. It is the doorway to true strength. Think of gold placed in fire. The fire does not destroy the gold, it refines it. It burns away impurities so that what remains is pure and strong. In the same way, the heat of your circumstances was refining you. It was burning away self-doubt. It was melting fear. It was separating you from old patterns that could not go where you are going. You cried more in that season than you ever had before. You asked questions you had never dared to ask. You admitted vulnerabilities you once tried to hide. And in that raw honesty, you encountered a deeper layer of yourself. You discovered that even when you felt emptied out, there was still something steady inside you. That steadiness was my presence anchoring you. You thought strength meant never feeling weak. But true strength is continuing even when you feel weak. True strength is choosing to trust when clarity is absent. True strength is getting up one more time, even when your knees are shaking. And that is exactly what you did. There were days when you functioned on faith alone. You did not have answers. You did not have guarantees. You simply had a quiet determination not to quit. That determination was not accidental. It was something I nurtured inside you. Every time you whispered, "I will try again tomorrow," you were building resilience. That breaking point also taught you compassion. You stopped judging others so quickly because you understood how heavy life can feel. You became gentler with people who are struggling because you remembered your own struggle. Pain softened you, but it did not weaken you and deepen you. My beloved child, the very place where you thought you would fall apart became the place where you grew roots. Roots that now hold you steady. Roots that will keep you grounded when greater responsibilities come. You would not have developed this depth in an easy season. Depth is formed in pressure. You also learned boundaries in that time. You learned that you cannot pour endlessly without being refilled. You learned that rest is not failure. You learned that asking for help does not diminish you. Those lessons are treasures that will guard your peace moving forward. When you look back now, you see that you survived what you once feared would destroy you. But I want you to see more than survival. I want you to see transformation. The version of you that emerged from that breaking point is stronger, wiser, and more aligned with your purpose. You did not break, my child. You were rebuilt. The cracks you feared would shatter you became openings for grayer light. The pressure that felt unbearable became the force that shaped your endurance. And now, as you stand in this new season, remember this. If you could withstand that pressure, there is nothing ahead that you cannot face with me beside you. My beloved child, now that you stand in this moment of breakthrough, there is a strange feeling in your heart, isn't there? It almost feels unreal. You look around and think, is this really happening? Did I truly make it here? After so much struggle, your mind is still catching up with your miracle. When you have lived in survival mode for a long time, peace can feel unfamiliar. When you have braced yourself for disappointment over and over again, success can feel suspicious. You have trained your heart to expect resistance. So now that something has finally worked out, part of you is waiting for it to disappear. But this, my child, is not an illusion. This is the fruit of endurance. This is what happens when faith survives the storm. You became so used to fighting that you forgot what it feels like to rest. You became so used to pushing through obstacles that you forgot what it feels like for doors to open. And now that one has opened, your spirit is whispering, be careful. Don't celebrate too soon. That whisper comes from old wounds, not from me. I want you to receive this victory fully. Do not shrink it. Do not minimize it. Do not say, it's nothing, when you know how much it cost you. You paid for this moment with perseverance. You paid for it with tears. You paid for it with courage that no one else saw. There were times you doubted this day would ever come. You saw others step into their breakthroughs and wondered when it would be your turn. You tried to stay patient, but deep inside you wrestled with discouragement. And now that your moment has arrived, you almost feel shy about it. My beloved child, you do not need to apologize for your blessing. You do not need to dim your joy to make others comfortable. What I have placed in your hands is not an accident. It is an answer. Think of a traveler who has walked through a desert for a long time. When they finally reach water, they may hesitate before drinking deeply because they have grown used to thirst. But the water is real. It is meant to refresh them. In the same way, this breakthrough is meant to refresh your soul. Let yourself breathe again. Let yourself smile without fear. Let yourself acknowledge that something beautiful has happened. Victory feels unreal because you were forged in difficulty. You became accustomed to stretching, striving, enduring. Now you are stepping into receiving. And receiving requires trust too. Trust that this is stable. Trust that this is not temporary. Trust that I am not playing with your heart. You may even feel a quiet disbelief when you look at yourself. You remember who you were at the beginning of this journey. You remember how uncertain, how fragile, how overwhelmed you felt. And now you see strength in your reflection. You see growth in your decisions. You see maturity in your responses. It feels unreal because you have changed. Do not rush past this moment. Do not immediately move to the next goal without honoring what has just happened. Celebration is not pride. It is gratitude in motion. Gratitude protects your joy. Gratitude reminds you that every good thing had been guided by my hand. My child, I delight in your progress. I rejoice in your growth. And I want you to feel that joy too. This is not the end of your journey, but it is a milestone worth honoring. So quiet the voice that says it is too good to be true. Quiet the fear that tells you to brace for loss. Instead, let my voice be louder. Let me remind you that I am faithful. If I brought you here, it is not to tease you with temporary relief. It is to establish you. This victory may feel surreal, but it is solid. It is real. It is earned through resilience and sustained by grace. And you are allowed to stand in it with confidence. My beloved child, you pulled it off. And now I invite you to believe it. My beloved child, if there is one truth I want you to hold close in this moment, it is this. You did not quit. There were countless reasons you could have. There were logical arguments for walking away. There were voices, some external, some inside your own thoughts, that told you it would be easier to stop trying. They told you that you had already done enough, that you had already endured more than most, that no one would blame you for letting go. But you stayed. You may not have stayed loudly. You may not have stayed confidently. Some days, you stayed with trembling hands and tired eyes. Some days, staying meant simply getting out of bed. Some days it meant sending one more message, making one more attempt, whispering one more prayer. It did not look heroic. It looked ordinary. But heaven saw it as extraordinary. Persistence is rarely dramatic. It is usually quiet. It is choosing to try again after disappointment. It is choosing to believe again after doubt. It is choosing to hope again after delay. And you kept choosing. You did not always feel strong. In fact, many days you felt the opposite. You questioned your ability. You questioned your capacity. But strength is not the absence of weakness. It is movement in the presence of it. And even when you felt fragile, you moved forward inch by inch. Think of a small stream carving its way through rock. It does not break the stone in one powerful strike. It shapes it through constant, gentle flow. That is what your consistency did. Your daily decisions, your repeated efforts, your refusal to surrender, they slowly carved a path where there once seemed to be none. You underestimated the power of your small steps. You thought progress only counted if it was big and visible. But the truth is, the small steps built the foundation for this breakthrough. Every time you resisted going back to old habits, you strengthened your future. Every time you chose discipline over distraction, you moved closer to this moment. There were times you paused, yes. Times you rested. Times you regroup. But pausing is not quitting. Resting is not surrender. You always returned with a renewed determination, even if it was quiet and cautious. That return mattered. My beloved child, quitting would have been understandable. But you chose endurance. And endurance has a reward. You may not realize how many unseen battles you won simply by continuing. There were temptations to settle for less than you deserve. There were shortcuts that looked appealing. There were distractions that could have pulled you off course. But something inside you kept saying, "Not yet. Keep going." That whisper was the resilience I planted in your spirit. You did not quit on your healing, even when the process felt slow. You did not quit on your growth, even when the results were invisible. You did not quit on your purpose, even when the path was unclear. And now, as you look at what has unfolded, you see the evidence of that persistence. This breakthrough did not arrive randomly. It arrived because you remained. My child, there is honor in staying. There is power in perseverance. And there is transformation in not giving up on yourself. I want you to recognize the courage it took to continue when motivation faded. Motivation is temporary. Commitment is lasting. And you chose commitment. You chose to show up even when your emotions did not cooperate. That choice built character inside you. This victory is not just about what you achieved. It is about who you proved yourself to be. You proved that you are stronger than discouragement. You proved that you cannot last doubt. You proved that your faith, even when small, is steady. So when the memory of those difficult days comes back to you, do not only remember the exhaustion. Remember the endurance. Remember that you are someone who keeps going. My beloved child, you did not quit. And because you did not quit, you are now standing in a reality that once felt impossible. My beloved child, while you were focused on surviving, something beautiful was happening within you. You were growing in ways you did not even notice. Growth rarely announces itself. It does not always come with applause or visible signs. Most of the time, it happens quietly, beneath the surface, in the unseen spaces of your heart and mind. You were so focused on the obstacles in front of you that you did not realize how much stronger you were becoming behind the scenes. There was a time when small setbacks would have shaken you deeply. A single disappointment could have stolen your peace for days. But look at you now. When challenges arose in this recent season, you handled them with more calm. You responded instead of reacting. You paused instead of panicking. That is growth. You may not have celebrated those moments because they felt subtle, but they were significant. The way you spoke to yourself changed. The way you processed pain changed. The way you viewed obstacles changed. You began to see difficulties not as proof of failure but as part of the process. That shift in perspective is powerful. You also grew in patience. Do you remember how urgently you once wanted everything to happen at once? You wanted clarity immediately. You wanted results instantly. But the waiting stretched you. It slowed you down. And in that slowing, you developed steadiness. Steadiness is a quiet strength. It does not rush. It does not crumble easily. It stands firm even when emotions fluctuate. And you, my child, became steady. Your confidence also changed shape. At one time, you looked for validation from others to reassure you that you were on the right path. You depended on approval to feel secure. But in this season, something shifted. You began to trust your inner convictions. You began to value my voice above the noise around you. That is maturity. You became less driven by comparison. You stopped measuring your journey against someone else's timeline. You started honoring your own pace. That freedom from comparison released unnecessary pressure from your heart. It allowed you to move with authenticity rather than competition. You may not have noticed it, but your resilience increased. Situations that once would have overwhelmed you became manageable. Conversations that once would have intimidated you became opportunities for clarity. Decisions that once filled you with fear became steps of courage. This is not accidental. It is the result of enduring what you endured. Think of a tree planted through changing seasons. In the winter, it looks bare. In the spring, it begins to bud. In the summer, it stands full and strong. But the real growth happens at the roots underground, where no one sees. That is what was happening inside you. While you worried about visible progress, your roots were deepening. You also grew in discernment. You began to recognize what drains you and what strengthens you. You started setting healthy boundaries. You learned that protecting your peace is not selfish. It is wise. That awareness will guard your future. My beloved child, even your faith matured. At the beginning of this journey, your faith may have been loud but fragile. Now it is quieter but stronger. It is not easily shaken by circumstances. It does not demand immediate answers. It rests in trust. That kind of faith can carry you through greater heights and deeper valleys. Do not overlook this inner transformation. The breakthrough you see on the outside is powerful, but the breakthrough within you is even greater. You did not just achieve something, you evolved. You are thinking differently. You are responding differently. You are believing differently. That is growth. And here is the beautiful truth. The person you are becoming is capable of sustaining the blessings you are receiving. If the old version of you had arrived here, it might have felt overwhelming. But the new you is prepared. My beloved child, honor your growth. Recognize how far you have come. You are not who you used to be. You are stronger, wiser, calmer, and more grounded. And this growth is only the beginning of what I am continuing to shape within you. My beloved child, while you were walking through those uncertain days, you often felt unnoticed. You felt as though your effort was disappearing into silence. You wondered if anyone truly saw how hard you were trying. But I want you to know something that will warm your heart. Heaven was cheering you on. You may have felt alone in the room, alone in the decision, alone in the struggle. But you were never alone in the spirit. Every time you chose integrity over compromise, there was celebration. Every time you chose patience over anger, there was rejoicing. Every time you resisted giving up, there was applause in realms you could not see. You measure progress by visible results. I measure it by courage. When you got back up after disappointment, that was a victory. When you prayed even though you were tired of waiting, that was a triumph. When you forgave even though you were hurt, that was strength. And each of those moments sent waves of joy through heaven. You thought your small decisions did not matter, but they mattered deeply. A single choice can redirect a life. A single act of obedience can open a door. A single moment of faith can shift an entire season. And you made those choices again and again. There is something beautiful about unseen faithfulness. When you do what is right without applause, when you continue without recognition, When you hold on without encouragement from others, that kind of faith shines brightly. It is pure. It is sincere. And it moves my heart. I watched you in the quiet hours. I saw you wrestling with doubt and choosing trust. I saw you fighting discouragement and choosing hope. I saw you resisting bitterness and choosing love. Those were not small moments. They were defining moments. You may imagine heaven as distant and detached, but my beloved child, heaven is deeply invested in you. Your journey is not insignificant. Your growth is not unnoticed. Your persistence is not ignored. When you took steps forward, even trembling ones, there was joy. Think of a parent watching a child learn to walk. The steps are unsteady. The progress is slow, but every attempt brings delight. That is how I have watched you. Not with criticism, not with impatience, but with pride. Even when you stumbled, I did not withdraw my affection. I extended my hand. There were moments when you whispered, "Does this even matter?" And I answered in ways you could not always hear, "Yes, it matters more than you know." When you chose honesty in a difficult conversation, that mattered. When you chose discipline over distraction, that mattered. When you chose to believe that your story was not over, that mattered. Heaven celebrates perseverance more than perfection. You did not need to be flawless. You needed to be faithful. And you were. Even now, as you stand in this new season of breakthrough, there is joy surrounding you. Not only because of what you achieved, but because of who you have become. Your journey has strengthened your spirit. Your endurance has expanded your capacity. You may not see angels or hear applause, but know this: your growth had been witnessed. Your tears were counted. Your prayers were treasured. Your effort was honored. My beloved child, let this truth settle into your heart. You have never been overlooked. You have never been forgotten. Every step you took toward healing, toward purpose, toward courage, was met with celebration in heaven. And as you continue forward from here, remember that you are supported in ways you cannot always see. You are surrounded by grace. You are strengthened by love. You are guided by a Father who delights in your progress. Heaven cheered you on then, and heaven continues to rejoice over you now. My beloved child, one of the hardest parts of your journey was not the struggle itself, it was the waiting. The delay tested you in ways that opposition never could. When something blocks your path, at least you know what you are fighting. But when nothing seems to move, when doors remain closed and answers feel postponed, that kind of silence can weigh heavily on the heart. You asked me many times, "Why is this taking so long?" You wondered if I hadn't forgotten your prayer. You wondered if you had missed a step. You even wondered if the dream in your heart had been an illusion. Delay can distort vision if you stare at it too long. But what you did not see was that delay was not denial. It was development. When a seed is planted in the soil, there is a season where nothing appears above the ground. If someone judged the process too quickly, they might assume nothing is happening. But beneath the surface, roots are forming. Strength is developing. Structure is being built. If the seed tried to rise too quickly without roots, it would collapse at the first wind. My beloved child, I was strengthening your roots. If I had given you the breakthrough at the beginning of your request, you might not have had the stability to sustain it. You might have celebrated quickly but crumbled under pressure. Instead, I allowed time to shape you. I allowed waiting to teach you endurance. I allowed silence to deepen your trust. Delay taught you patience, not the passive kind, but the active kind. The kind that keeps preparing even when the opportunity has not yet appeared. You kept learning. You kept improving. You kept showing up. That preparation was not wasted time. It was sacred investment. Delay also revealed your heart. It showed you what truly mattered to you. It forced you to examine your motives. Were you seeking success for validation or for purpose? Were you chasing approval or alignment? In the waiting, your intentions became clearer. Your priorities shifted. Your focus sharpened. There were moments when you felt frustrated watching others move ahead. Comparison tried to creep in. You questioned why their path seemed faster, smoother, more direct. But you do not see the full story of others, and they do not see yours. Your timeline is uniquely designed for your growth. The delay protected you from rushing into environments that were not ready for you. It protected you from connections that would have distracted you. It protected you from opportunities that looked good but were not right. What felt like restriction was often redirection. My beloved child, waiting stretched your faith. When answers are immediate, faith is easy. But when you must hold on to a promise through uncertainty, faith becomes strong. You learned to trust my character even when you did not understand my timing. That kind of trust is powerful. And now, as you stand in this breakthrough, you can look back and see pieces aligning. Conversations happened at the right time. Skills developed at the right pace. Doors opened when you were finally prepared to walk through them with confidence instead of fear. If the breakthrough had arrived earlier, you would have been a different person stepping into it. But now, you carry wisdom. You carry humility. You carry resilience. The delay shaped you into someone who can sustain the blessing, not just receive it. So do not resent the waiting season. Honor it. It trained you. It matured you. It anchored you. My beloved child, what felt like a long pause was actually careful preparation. I was never slow. I was intentional. And now you can see that the timing, though different from your expectation, was perfect for your becoming. The lesson hidden in delay has now revealed its reward. My beloved child, when you look back over this entire journey, you may be tempted to say, I worked hard. I stayed disciplined. I played through. And yes, you did all of those things. But beneath your effort was something even more powerful. You trusted me. Trust is not loud. It does not always feel dramatic. Sometimes trust looks like taking one more step when you can't see the whole staircase. Sometimes it looks like releasing control when every part of you wants to hold on tightly. And that is what you did. You loosened your grip on fear and tightened your grip on faith. There were moments when you did not understand my ways. You asked questions that seemed to echo without answers. Yet even in confusion, you did not completely walk away. Even in frustration, you kept a small door open in your heart that said, I still believe. That small door allowed light to enter. You trusted me when the outcome was uncertain. You trusted me when your plans shifted unexpectedly. You trusted me when people disappointed you. That trust became your anchor. When emotions rose and felt like waves, trust kept you steady. You did not always feel confident. But trust is not about feeling certain. It is about choosing to believe in my goodness despite uncertainty. You chose to believe that I was guiding you, even when the path curved sharply. You chose to believe that I was protecting you, even when doors closed. You chose to believe that I was preparing you, even when progress felt slow. That choice changed everything. Trust opened space for peace to enter your heart. It quieted the panic that once tried to rule you. It softened the anxiety that once consumed your thoughts. You began to rest, not because everything was solved, but because you knew you were not alone. And here is the beautiful truth. Your trust honored me. It showed that you believed my promises were greater than your fears. It showed that you believed my timing was wiser than your impatience. It showed that you believed my love was steady, even when circumstances were not. Because you trusted me, you did not collapse under pressure. Because you trusted me, you did not chase every distraction. Because you trusted me, you remained aligned with the path I set before you. Now, as you stand in this breakthrough, remember that trust is what carried you here, and the same trust will carry you forward into even greater things. My beloved child, as this message reaches your heart, if it has strengthened you, if it has reminded you that you are not alone, then hear me clearly. I am still speaking through this mission. I am still reaching hearts that are hanging by a thread. When you choose to support this channel through Super Thanks membership, or the PayPal link placed in the description and shown as a QR code in this video, you are not simply giving money. You are sowing seeds into souls who are desperate for hope. My word says that when you give, it is given back to you, pressed down, shaken together, and running over. I am inviting you now to become a river, not a reservoir. Do not let this moment pass as ordinary. Act in faith and help me carry this light to someone who is praying for a sign. Your generosity becomes oil that keeps this lamp burning. I will bless the hands that give and multiply what you release in obedience. Step forward and sow your seed today. My child, you pulled it off because you trusted me. And as you continue to trust, you will see even more unfold before you. My beloved child, as powerful as this breakthrough feels, I need you to understand something that will stretch your hope even further. This is not the peak of your story. This is the beginning of a new chapter. You may look at what you have achieved and think, finally, I made it. And yes, you have crossed an important threshold. You have stepped into something you once prayed for with trembling faith. But I did not bring you this far just to let you settle into comfort. I brought you here to show you what is possible when trust and perseverance meet divine timing. The victory you are experiencing right now is a foundation. It is solid ground beneath your feet after a long season of instability. And from this foundation, new doors will open. New ideas will form. New confidence will rise within you. In the past, you doubted whether you could handle more. You questioned your capacity. You wondered if you were built for greater responsibility. But everything you endured has expanded your strength. You are not who you were at the beginning of this journey. You carry more wisdom now. You carry more resilience. You carry more clarity. That means you are ready for more. Do not let fear whisper that this is as good as it gets. Do not let comfort convince you to shrink your vision. The same strength that carried you through struggle will carry you into expansion. The same faith that sustained you in uncertainty will sustain you in growth. Sometimes after a breakthrough, there is a temptation to relax too deeply, to believe the hardest part is over and nothing more will require courage. But growth continues. Expansion requires boldness. And you, my child, have proven that boldness lives inside you. Think of a mountain climber who finally reaches a resting plateau after a difficult ascent. They pause. They breathe. They take in the view. But they also realize that this plateau is not the summit. It is preparation for the next climb. And because they have already overcome steep terrain, they now carry confidence that the next ascent is possible. That is where you stand now. The fear that once held you back does not have the same power anymore. The doubt that once paralyzed you has lost its grip. You have evidence in your own life that perseverance works. You have proof that trusting me produces fruit. That proof will become your anchor in future challenges. Do not worry that the next level will overwhelm you. You are not stepping into it alone. I go before you. I walk beside you. I remain within you. Just as I guided you through the past season, I will guide you through what is ahead. You may feel a quiet stirring inside you already. A sense that there is more to build, more to create, more to become. Do not ignore that stirring. It is not pressure. It is purpose. It is the natural unfolding of a life aligned with me. My beloved child, I am not finished writing your story. The breakthrough you celebrate today is a sign of what is possible. It is evidence that obstacles can be overcome. It is confirmation that you are capable of growth beyond what you imagined. Lift your eyes a little higher now. Allow your vision to expand. The same courage that helped you survive will now help you thrive. The same discipline that carried you through difficulty will now carry you through opportunity. This is not the end of your becoming. It is the doorway to deeper purpose, stronger confidence, and wider influence. Stand steady in this moment, but do not close your heart to what comes next. I am leading you forward, step by step, into a future that is greater than you once believed possible. My beloved child, this is only the beginning. My beloved child, as you step into this new beginning, I want you to remember something that will keep your heart steady and humble. Remember who carried you when you could not carry yourself. It is beautiful that you work hard. It is admirable that you stayed disciplined. But there were moments when your strength alone would not have been enough. There were nights when your energy was gone. There were mornings when your motivation was empty. And yet, somehow, you kept moving. That somehow was my grace. There were days when you felt like you were crawling instead of walking. You thought your pace was too slow. You judged yourself for not being stronger, braver, faster. But even when you felt weak, I was sustaining you. Even when your faith felt small, I was amplifying it. You may remember specific moments when everything felt too heavy. Decisions weighed on you. Responsibilities pressed against you. Emotions overwhelmed you. In those moments, you whispered simple prayers. Sometimes you did not even have words. You just sighed. And I understood that sigh completely. I strengthened you in ways you did not see. I blocked dangers you did not notice. I redirected paths you thought you wanted but would have harmed you. I placed the right people in your life at crucial times. I gave you ideas when you felt stuck. I gave you calm when anxiety tried to take over. My beloved child, you did not walk alone. It is important to remember this, not to diminish your effort, but to protect your heart from pride and from pressure. If you begin to believe that everything depends only on you, you will exhaust yourself trying to control what is beyond your reach. But when you remember that I am your source, peace returns. There is freedom in knowing that you are supported. When you felt like giving up, I strengthened your resolve. When you were tempted to settle for less, I stirred your spirit to aim higher. When confusion clouded your vision, I quietly guided your steps. Sometimes you did not recognize my hand, but it was there. Think of a child learning to ride a bicycle. The child believes they are balancing on their own. They feel proud of their effort, but a loving parent runs behind them, steadying the seat, ready to catch them if they fall. Even when the child does not see the parent's hand, it is there for support. That is how I have walked with you. Now that you are experiencing success, do not forget the source of your strength. Gratitude will keep your heart aligned. Gratitude will guard you from fear of losing what you have gained. When you remember that I carried you before, you will trust that I will carry you again. You do not have to prove yourself constantly. You do not have to carry every burden alone. You do not have to manufacture your own peace. My grace is not temporary. It did not disappear when the struggle ended. It remains with you in victory just as it was with you in hardship. My beloved child, the breakthrough you celebrate is a partnership between your faithfulness and my faithfulness. You showed up. I sustained you. You persevered. I strengthened you. You trusted. I guided. As you move forward, keep leaning on me. Not because you are weak, but because connection with me is your greatest strength. Stay rooted in gratitude. Stay aware of my presence. Stay humble in success and confident in my love. Remember who carried you through the storm. The same arms that held you in difficulty now surround you in blessing. And I am not letting go. My beloved child, there was a time when fear had a louder voice in your life. It spoke quickly. It spoke convincingly. It told you what could go wrong before you ever considered what could go right. It painted worst-case scenarios in your mind and called them wisdom. And for a while, you listened. Fear once controlled your decisions more than you realized. It told you not to try because you might fail. It told you not to speak because you might be misunderstood. It told you not to step forward because you might not be enough. It disguised itself as protection, but in truth, it was limitation. You remember how your heart used to race at the thought of certain risks, how your thoughts would spiral when outcomes were uncertain, how you would rehearse conversations in your mind, preparing for rejection before it even happened. Fear made your world feel smaller than it truly was. But something began to change. It did not happen all at once. There was no dramatic moment where fear disappeared overnight. Instead, courage began to grow quietly beside it. Each time fear whispered, you learned to question it. Each time it predicted disaster, you paused and asked yourself if that prediction was truly certain. Slowly, its grip weakened. You started taking small steps despite fear. That was the turning point. Courage is not the absence of fear. It is movement in its presence. The first time you acted while still feeling afraid, you realized something powerful. Fear could speak, but it did not have to decide. That realization shifted your authority. You discovered that fear often exaggerates. It magnifies risks and minimizes your strength. But when you stepped forward anyway, you saw that many of the disasters it predicted never happened. And even when challenges did arise, you handled them better than you expected. My beloved child, every time you chose action over avoidance, you weakened fear's control. Every time you told yourself, I will try, instead of I cannot, you reclaim power. Every time you trusted me instead of your anxious thoughts, you strengthen your faith. Fear once made you hesitate at doors I was inviting you to walk through. Now you approach those doors with steadier hands. Fear once told you that you would not survive disappointment. And now you know that even if things do not go perfectly, you are resilient enough to endure. There were specific fears that haunted you. Fear of failure, fear of rejection, fear of not measuring up. But as you grew, you realized that failure is a teacher, rejection is redirection, and your worth is not measured by comparison. That understanding dismantled fear piece by piece. You also learned to sit with discomfort instead of running from it. That was growth. You allowed yourself to feel nervous without interpreting it as a sign to retreat. You allowed yourself to feel uncertain without labeling it as danger. That emotional maturity gave you freedom. My beloved child, fear does not disappear forever. It may still whisper from time to time, but now it no longer rules you. Now it does not sit on the throne of your decisions. You have replaced it with trust. Trust in my guidance. Trust in your growth. Trust in your ability to adapt and overcome. You have evidence now. You have lived through what you once feared would destroy you. And here you stand, stronger, wiser, more grounded. That evidence silences fear more effectively than any argument ever could. Remember this: fear tries to protect you from pain, but it can also prevent you from purpose. Courage opens doors that fear would keep locked. And you, my child, have chosen courage again and again. The fear that once controlled you has lost its authority. You are no longer shrinking back. You are stepping forward. And as you continue to walk in confidence, know that I am with you. Even when fear whispers, my voice is stronger. Even when uncertainty arises, my presence is steady. You are not defined by fear anymore. You are defined by faith. My beloved child, what you have walked through was never meant to end with you. The battles you fought, the tears you shed, the breakthroughs you experienced, they carry a purpose far beyond your own life. Your story is becoming a light for others. Right now, there are people quietly watching you. Some of them will never tell you how much your journey has impacted them. They see the strength in your posture. They hear the steadiness in your voice. They notice the calm that now surrounds you. And they wonder how you found it. They do not always see the nights you cried. They do not always know how close you came to giving up. But they can sense that something in you has changed. That change speaks louder than you realize. You once thought your struggles were a sign of weakness. You felt embarrassed by your setbacks. You wished parts of your story could be erased. But those very chapters are the ones that carry power. People do not draw hope from perfection. They draw hope from perseverance. When someone sees that you endured and came out stronger, it awakens courage in them. When they see that you faced fear and moved forward anyway, it challenges their own hesitation. When they see that you trusted me through uncertainty, it gives them permission to trust too. Your story is proof that difficulty does not have the final word. Think of a traveler lost in darkness. If they see even a small light in the distance, it changes everything. That light tells them they are not alone. That light tells them there is a path forward. Your journey is becoming that light. You may feel ordinary. You may think, I am just living my life. But ordinary faithfulness has extraordinary influence. The way you handle disappointment, the way you speak about growth, the way you choose gratitude, all of it teaches without you even trying to teach. There will be moments when someone comes to you and says, how did you get through that? And you will realize that your survival was not only for you. It was preparation to guide someone else. My beloved child, I never waste pain. What felt isolating at the time is now becoming a bridge of connection. Because you know what it feels like to struggle, you can speak with compassion. Because you know what it feels like to wait, you can offer patience. Because you know what it feels like to doubt, you can gently encourage faith. You are not meant to carry your testimony in silence. When the time is right, share it. Not to boast, but to bless. Not to highlight yourself, but to reveal my faithfulness. There are hearts that will heal because you were honest. There are minds that will shift because you were brave. There are lives that will move forward because you chose not to quit. Even now, as you step into this new season, your consistency is teaching others that growth is possible. Your peace is teaching others that anxiety does not have to rule forever. Your confidence is teaching others that fear can be overcome. Do not underestimate the ripple effect of your obedience. You may never see the full impact of your influence. You may never know how many people were strengthened because you kept going. but trust that every act of courage sends waves farther than you can imagine. My beloved child, your story is not just a memory of what you survived. It is a message of what is possible. It carries hope. It carries light. It carries evidence of resilience and grace working together. Walk forward knowing that your journey has meaning beyond your own victory. What you pulled off at last is not only a personal triumph, it is a testimony that will echo in places you may never see. And as you continue to grow, your life will keep speaking, quietly, powerfully, and purposefully. My beloved child, somewhere along this journey, you discovered something that had always been there, but you did not fully recognize it before. You discovered strength within yourself. For a long time, you thought strength was loud. You thought it meant never crying, never doubting, never feeling overwhelmed. You believed strong people were unshaken, always certain, always fearless. But your journey taught you a different definition. Strength is not the absence of emotion. It is the ability to feel deeply and still move forward. There were days you cried and kept going. Days you doubted and still showed up. Days you felt tired but refused to surrender. That is strength. Not the kind that demands attention, but the kind that quietly endures. You once underestimated yourself. You questioned whether you had what it takes. You compared your resilience to others and assumed you were weaker. But difficulty revealed what comfort never could. When pressure increased, something inside you rose to meet it. That something was the strength I placed in you long before you needed it. You may not have seen it in easier seasons because it had not been tested. But when life demanded more from you, you found that you could give more. When circumstances stretched you, you did not snap. You bent, you adjusted, you adapted, and you endured. Think of a muscle that grows through resistance. Without weight, it remains unchanged. But under pressure, it strengthens. In the same way, your challenges were resistance that builds spiritual and emotional muscle. You learned how to sit with discomfort without collapsing. You learned how to process pain without becoming bitter. You learned how to take responsibility for your growth without drowning in self-criticism. That is mature strength. My beloved child, you also discovered inner discipline. There were days you did not feel inspired, yet you acted anyway. There were moments you wanted to retreat, yet you stepped forward. That ability to act beyond emotion is powerful. You no longer depend solely on motivation. You have developed commitment. Commitment carries you when feelings fluctuate. Commitment anchors you when excitement fades. And you build that commitment through repetition, through consistency, through faith. You also found strength in vulnerability. There were moments when you admitted you needed help. When you opened your heart instead of hiding it. When you allowed yourself to be seen in your imperfection. That honesty did not weaken you. It liberated you. Strength is not pretending you have it all together. Strength is being grounded enough to admit when you do not. As you reflect on who you were before this season and who you are now, you can see the difference. Your posture is steadier. Your voice carries more conviction. Your decisions are more intentional. You are less reactive and more reflective. That is growth manifested as strength. You have become someone who can handle responsibility without being consumed by it. Someone who can face uncertainty without being paralyzed by it. Someone who can endure disappointment without losing hope. My beloved child, the strength you found within is not temporary. It is not tied to a single achievement. It is part of who you are now, and it will support you in seasons yet to come. When future challenges arise, and they will, because growth never stops, you will not approach them as the same person who once felt overwhelmed. You will approach them with experience, with resilience, with proven endurance. Remember this: the strength within you is not separate from me. I am your source. But I have woven that strength into your spirit so that you can stand confidently, knowing you are supported from within and from above. You searched for evidence that you were capable. Now you have it. My beloved child, you are stronger than you once believed, and that strength will continue to rise whenever you need it. My beloved child, there were forces that quietly assumed you would not make it this far. There were whispers in the unseen places that predicted your surrender. The enemy of your peace studied your weak moments and concluded that pressure would be enough to break you. It watched your tears and mistook them for defeat. It heard your doubts and assumed they would become your downfall. But it underestimated what I placed inside you. The enemy thought that if it could delay you long enough, you would lose interest. It believed that if it could frustrate you deeply enough, you would abandon the vision. It tried to magnify every setback, amplify every criticism, and replay every mistake in your mind until you felt too small to continue. It told you that you were behind. It told you that you were incapable. It told you that others were more qualified, more prepared, more deserving. It tried to convince you that your window of opportunity had closed. There were moments when you almost agreed with those lies. You almost accepted the narrative that you were not enough. You almost internalized the thought that maybe this path was not meant for you after all. That is why the pressure intensified at times, because the enemy sensed that you were closer to breakthrough than you realized. Resistance often increases right before release. The enemy hoped that discouragement would wear you down slowly, not in one dramatic collapse, but in quiet erosion. It aimed to drain your confidence piece by piece. It aimed to make quitting seem reasonable, comfortable, even wise. But something stronger than fear was forming in you. Every time you felt tempted to give up and chose to continue, you weakened those lies. Every time you rejected comparison and focused on your own growth, you disrupted the narrative meant to limit you. Every time you returned to trust after doubt, you reclaimed ground. The enemy misjudged your resilience and did not account for your endurance. It did not factor in my faithfulness. My beloved child, understand this clearly. The intensity of the battle was never proof that you were losing. It was evidence that you were valuable. Opposition does not pursue what has no purpose. The greater the potential, the stronger the resistance attempts to be. When discouragement surrounded you, it was because you were moving in the right direction. When doubt tried to cloud your thoughts, it was because clarity was approaching. When exhaustion tempted you to stop, it was because you were near the finish line of that season. The enemy believed your past would define you. It believed your mistakes would disqualify you. It believed your fears would trap you. But it did not understand the transforming power of growth and grace working together. You are not the person you were when the battle began. You have evolved. You have matured. You have gained discernment. And with that growth came authority. Now, when doubt tries to whisper, you recognize it more quickly. When fear attempts to resurface, you challenge it instead of submitting to it. When discouragement knocks, you do not open the door so easily. That is victory beyond the visible breakthrough. My beloved child, the enemy thought you would quit because it only saw your weakness. It did not see the strength I was cultivating. It did not see the faith being refined. It did not see the quiet determination building day after day. You proved that resilience can outlast resistance. You proved that faith can silence fear. You proved that perseverance can overcome pressure. And now, as you stand stronger than before. Know this: the same resilience that carried you through that battle will carry you through future ones. The enemy may attempt new tactics, but you are not inexperienced anymore. You have learned. You have grown. You did not quit. And that alone dismantled the narrative that was formed against you. My beloved child, what tried to stop you has now become part of your testimony. And what expected your surrender has witnessed your strength. My beloved child, one of the most defining choices you made on this journey was this. You chose faith over feelings. Your feelings were loud at times. They told you that you were tired. They told you that nothing was changing. They told you that you were alone, unseen, and unsupported. Feelings can be powerful. They can rise like waves and demand to be believed. And there were days when those waves nearly pulled you under. You felt discouraged when progress was slow. You felt frustrated when doors stayed closed. You felt insecure when comparison crept into your thoughts. You felt anxious when the outcome was unclear. Those emotions were real. I do not dismiss them. I saw them. I understood them. But you did not let them decide your direction. There is a difference between feeling something and following it. You learn that difference slowly, sometimes painfully. Instead of allowing discouragement to stop you, you acknowledged it and kept moving. Instead of allowing fear to freeze you, you admitted it and stepped forward anyway. That is faith. Faith is not pretending everything is easy. Faith is choosing to trust me even when your emotions are unsettled. It is waking up and taking action even when you do not feel inspired. It is holding on to hope even when your heart feels heavy. There were mornings when your feelings said, "Stay where it is safe." But your faith whispered, "Try again." There were evenings when your feelings said, "This is pointless." But your faith replied, "Keep going." And each time you listened to faith, you strengthened it. Feelings are temporary. They shift with circumstances. They rise and fall based on what you see and hear. But faith is rooted deeper. It is anchored in what you know about my character, not in what you temporarily feel. My beloved child, choosing faith over feelings does not mean you ignored your emotions. It means you did not allow them to rule you. You learned to sit with discomfort without surrendering to it. You learned to let doubt pass through your mind without building a home there. That emotional maturity changed your trajectory. If you had followed your feelings alone, you might have walked away too soon. You might have settled for less. You might have abandoned a process that was still unfolding. But faith kept you steady when emotions fluctuated. Think of a traveler walking through fog. Their feelings may tell them to turn back because the path ahead looks uncertain. But faith reminds them that the road still exists, even if they cannot see far ahead. So they take one step, then another, trusting that clarity will return. That is what you did. You trusted that I was guiding you even when the way seemed unclear. You trusted that your effort mattered even when results were delayed. You trusted that your growth was real even when it felt slow. And because you chose faith, you now stand in a place your feelings once told you was impossible. My beloved child, this lesson will serve you again. There will be future moments when emotions rise strongly. There will be new seasons that challenge your comfort. But now you know something powerful. Feelings are not final authorities. Faith is steadier. Faith is stronger. Faith connects you to my promises rather than to temporary impressions. Continue to feel deeply. Continue to be honest about your emotions. But do not surrender your direction to them. Let faith lead. Let trust guide. Let my voice be louder than your fear. You chose faith when it would have been easier to retreat. And that choice shifted your life. Because you chose faith over feelings, you walked into a breakthrough that your emotions once doubted. And you will do it again. My beloved child, after all the waiting, all the knocking, all the moments of wondering if anything would ever change, the door finally opened. You stood in front of it so many times before. You prayed in front of it. You prepared in front of it. You imagined what it would feel like to walk through it. And more than once, you reached for the handle only to find it locked. Each time that happened, disappointment tried to settle into your heart. You questioned whether you were meant to walk through that door at all. You wondered if you had misheard me. You considered turning around and choosing a smaller path, one that required less risk and less patience. But you stayed near the door. You kept developing yourself while you waited. You kept refining your character. You kept strengthening your skills. You kept deepening your faith. Even when the door did not move, you did. And then, at the right time, something shifted. The opportunity appeared. The conversation aligned. The breakthrough unfolded. And the same door that once resisted you now opened with unexpected ease. It almost surprised you how natural it felt. How right it felt. That is what divine timing does. When the moment is ready, what once felt impossible becomes accessible. My beloved child, the door did not open because you forced it. It opened because you were prepared to step through it. Earlier in your journey, you might have entered with insecurity, with fear, with uncertainty. But now you walk through with steadiness. You walk through knowing who you are. Closed doors are not rejection. They are refinement. Every time you stood before that door and it remained shut, you were being shaped into someone who could carry what was on the other side. Think of a key being cut carefully to fit a specific light. If the key is not shaped precisely, it will not turn. In the same way, your experiences were shaping you. Each challenge carved away impatience. Each delay trimmed away doubt. Each lesson adjusted your perspective. Now the key fits. When you stepped through that open door, you felt a mixture of excitement and disbelief. You remembered the times you almost walked away. You remembered the days you thought this moment would never come. And suddenly, you were standing in it. Do not forget how far you traveled to reach this doorway. There were voices that told you to stop knocking. There were distractions that tried to pull you elsewhere. There were easier routes that promised quicker results. But you remained aligned with the path I set before you. And now you understand why the door could not open sooner. Had it opened too early, you might not have valued it fully. You might have entered without the wisdom you now possess. You might have missed the deeper lessons that prepared you for sustainability rather than temporary success. My beloved child, as you walk through this open door, do not carry the fear of it closing behind you. This is not a fragile opportunity. It is a step forward in your unfolding purpose. Walk confidently. Speak boldly. Act with integrity. You have been prepared for this space. And remember this, there will be other doors in your future. Some will open quickly. Some will require waiting. Some will close permanently because they are not aligned with your growth. But now you understand the process. You know that a closed door is not a verdict against you. You know that waiting is not wasted time. You know that preparation continues even in silence. The door that finally opened is evidence of my faithfulness and your perseverance meeting at the perfect moment. My beloved child, you knocked. You waited. You grew. And when the time was right, you walked through. My beloved child, Now that you have stepped through the open door, now that you are standing in the reality you once prayed for, I must tell you something gently but firmly. Do not minimize this moment. You have a habit of doing that. When something good happens, you quickly say, "It's not a big deal." When you achieve something meaningful, you compare it to someone else's success and shrink your own. When you overcome something significant, you move on too quickly, as if it required no courage at all. But I saw what it cost you. I saw the discipline behind the scenes. I saw the tears no one else noticed. I saw the restraint when you wanted to react. I saw the faith when you felt uncertain. This moment is not small. It is layered with effort, growth, patience, and trust. Under it, there is wisdom and celebration. Celebration is not arrogance. It is acknowledgement. It is posy long enough to say, "This mattered. This changed me." When you rush past victories without reflection, you rob yourself of gratitude and perspective. Remember where you started. Remember how unsure you felt. Remember the days when you wondered if you would ever see progress. Now look at where you stand. A distance deserves recognition. My beloved child, minimizing your breakthrough often comes from humility mixed with insecurity. You do not want to appear proud, so you downplay your progress. But there is a difference between pride and gratitude. Pride says, "I did this alone." Gratitude says, "I grew through this with grace." Let gratitude fill this moment. When you honor what you have overcome, you strengthen your confidence for future challenges. You build a memory of resilience. The next time you face difficulty, you can look back and say, "I have overcome before. I can overcome again." But if you dismiss this victory as insignificant, you weaken that memory. Imagine a traveler who climbs a mountain but refuses to look back at the view. They miss the evidence of how far they have come. They forget the valleys they crossed and the steep paths they conquered. Looking back is not about longing for the past. It is about appreciating progress. My beloved child, this milestone is sacred. It represents transformation. It marks the closing of one chapter and the beginning of another. It shows that perseverance produces results. It proves that trust is not wasted. Do not let fear steal your joy by telling you that this success is temporary. Do not let comparison whisper that others have achieved more. Your journey is uniquely yours. Your growth is personal. Your breakthrough fits your path perfectly. Take a moment to breathe it in. Feel the stability beneath your feet. Notice the peace that now replaces the anxiety you once carried. Recognize the strength in your voice that once trembled. This is progress. You are allowed to smile without bracing for disappointment. You are allowed to rest without guilt. You are allowed to feel proud of how far you have come without slipping into arrogance. My beloved child, honoring this moment does not stop your growth. It fuels it. When you acknowledge your progress, you create space for deeper gratitude and clearer vision. Stand still for a moment. Look at your hands. They are not empty anymore. Look at your heart. It is not as fragile as it once was. Look at your mind. It is steadier, calmer, wiser. This moment deserves your attention. Do not rush past it. Do not shrink it. Do not pretend it was easy. You pulled it off at last. And that is something worth honoring. My beloved child, what you are experiencing now is not a temporary high. It is not a fragile moment that will disappear with the next challenge. I am establishing you. There is a difference between a sudden success and a settled foundation. Sudden success can excite you, but a settled foundation sustains you. What I am building in your life is not shallow. It is rooted. It is intentional. is steady. For a long time, your life felt uncertain. Circumstances shifted quickly. Emotions fluctuated. Plans changed without warning. You felt like you were constantly adjusting, constantly bracing for the next wave. Instability taught you flexibility, but it also left you longing for something firm beneath your feet. Now you are stepping into stability. This stability does not mean there will never be challenges again. It means you are no longer easily shaken by them. It means your identity is no longer tied to temporary outcomes. It means your peace is not dependent on perfect conditions. I'm anchoring you. Think of a tree that has survived many storms. In its early years, strong winds could bend it nearly to the ground. But as its roots grew deeper, the same winds no longer threatened its existence. The storms did not stop, but the tree became established. That is what has happened within you. You are no longer searching for approval in the same way. You are no longer chasing validation to feel secure. You are not as easily discouraged by delays. Your confidence is no longer fragile. It is grounded in experience, in growth, in trust. My beloved child, establishment is not flashy. It is quiet. It feels like calm instead of chaos. It feels like clarity instead of confusion. It feels like standing firm without constantly questioning your worth. You may notice that your reactions have changed. Situations that once would have triggered anxiety now meet a measured response. Conversations that once intimidated you now feel manageable. Decisions that once overwhelmed you now feel thoughtful and intentional. This is what it means to be established. I am also establishing your boundaries. You are learning what you will accept and what you will not. You are becoming clearer about your values. You are protecting your energy and guarding your peace. That wisdom is part of your foundation. You no longer say yes out of fear. You no longer shrink yourself to fit into spaces that diminish you. You are aligning your actions with your growth. My beloved child, this season is about consolidation. Everything you learned in difficulty is now settling into your character. The patience you developed, the resilience you built, the faith you strengthened, all of it is becoming part of your identity. You are not constantly striving anymore. You are standing. That standing does not mean complacency. It means confidence. It means you know who you are. It means you trust the path ahead without frantic urgency. I am establishing your mindset as well. Scarcity is being replaced with trust. Comparison is being replaced with gratitude. Fear is being replaced with calm assurance. You are becoming rooted. When future challenges arise, and they will, you will not approach them as someone fragile. You will approach them as someone grounded. You will remember what you have overcome. You will remember that you are supported. You will remember that you have been strengthened. My beloved child, this establishment is a gift. It is the result of endurance meeting grace. It is the reward of faithfulness over time. You are not drifting anymore. You are not scrambling for stability. You are planted. And when you are planted in trust, in growth, in purpose, you cannot be easily uprooted. I am establishing you for longevity, not just for a moment. For depth, not just display. For impact, not just applause. Stand firm in this new season. You are not fragile. You are founded. My beloved child, there is something different about the way you carry yourself now. You may not always notice it, because growth often feels gradual from the inside. But those who observe you can see it. There is a quiet confidence surrounding you. This confidence is not loud or boastful. It does not demand attention. It does not need constant reassurance. It is calm. It is steady. It is rooted in experience. There was a time when you second-guessed nearly every decision. You replayed conversations in your mind, wondering if you had said the wrong thing. You hesitated before taking action, afraid of making a mistake. You sought approval before trusting your own judgment. But now, something has shifted. You still reflect. You still care. But you no longer doubt your worth at every turn. You no longer crumble at the first sign of disagreement. You have learned that disagreement is not rejection. You have learned that mistakes are not identity. You have learned that growth requires movement, not perfection. That realization has strengthened your posture. You speak with more clarity now. You make decisions with more intention. You carry yourself with a sense of inner alignment. Even when you do not have all the answers, you are not paralyzed by uncertainty. My beloved child, this confidence was earned through endurance. It was built in moments when you acted despite fear. It was formed in seasons when you trusted me without visible proof. It was strengthened each time you overcame a challenge that once seemed too heavy. Confidence grows when you witness your own resilience. You have lived through what you once feared. You have navigated obstacles that once intimidated you. You have proven to yourself that you can adapt, learn, and rise. That self-awareness is powerful. This new confidence also shows in how you handle criticism. In the past, harsh words might have lingered in your mind for days. Now you listen, you discern, and you release what does not align with truth. You no longer allow every opinion to shape your self-image. You are anchored. My beloved child, this confidence does not mean you will never feel doubt again. It means doubt no longer defines you. It may visit, but it does not stay. You recognize it as a temporary emotion, not a permanent truth. You also carry confidence in your faith. You no longer panic when timing feels uncertain. You no longer assume delay means abandonment. You have seen my faithfulness too clearly to doubt it entirely. That assurance changes how you walk. Think of someone who has learned to swim after fearing deep water for years. At first, every movement feels awkward and tense. But once they realize they can float, their body relaxes. The water, that once felt threatening, now feels manageable. That is how you move through life now. Situations that once overwhelmed you now meet a steady response. Opportunities that once intimidated you now feel approachable. Challenges that once seemed impossible now feel like tasks to be worked through. This confidence is not accidental. It is the fruit of growth. My beloved child, protect this confidence. Guard it with gratitude. Nourish it with truth. Do not let comparison erode it. Do not let fear shrink it. You are not who you used to be. You are wiser. You are stronger. You are more grounded. And you carry that evidence within you. When you walk into a room now, you bring experience with you. When you speak, your words are shaped by lessons learned. When you face the future, you do so with a deeper trust in both yourself and me. This is what transformation looks like, not perfection, but steadiness. Not arrogance, but assurance. My beloved child, the confidence you now carry is a gift born from perseverance. Walk in it with humility and courage. It will open doors. It will steady your steps. It will remind you that you are capable of far more than you once believed. My beloved child, now that you stand established and confident, I must prepare your heart for what comes next. Growth does not end with breakthrough. It expands. And the next level before you will require boldness. Do not let that word intimidate you. Boldness does not mean recklessness. It does not mean arrogance. It does not mean moving without wisdom. Boldness means stepping forward with trust, even when comfort tries to hold you back. You have grown steady. You have built resilience. You have developed confidence. But there is still more within you that has not yet been expressed. There are ideas you have hesitated to act on. There are conversations you have postponed. There are dreams you have quietly held close, unsure if you were ready to pursue them fully. You are closer to ready than you think. The next level is not simply about external success. It is about expansion of influence, depth, and courage. It is about using the strength you have built instead of hiding it. It is about speaking when you once would have stayed silent. It is about leading where you once would have followed. Boldness will ask you to trust me again in unfamiliar territory. You may feel the old whisper of hesitation trying to return. It may say, "What if this is too much?" It may remind you of past discomforts. But remember, you are not the same person who faced those earlier challenges. You have grown. You have matured. You have learned. The next level requires you to stop playing small. There were seasons when shrinking felt safer, when lowering your expectations felt less risky, when blending in felt more comfortable than standing out. But you were not designed to hide your growth. You were jibbed through predator for a purpose. My beloved child, boldness is trusting that the strength within you is enough for the opportunity before you. Think of an eagle that has spent months strengthening its wings. When the moment comes to soar higher, it must leave the branch. Remaining perched may feel secured, but it limits flight. In the same way, you must release the comfort of what you have mastered to experience what is possible. This does not mean abandoning gratitude for where you are. It means building upon it. It means using your established foundation as a launching point rather than a resting place. Boldness may look like applying for the opportunity you once thought was beyond you. It may look like setting boundaries more firmly. It may look like starting the project you have postponed. It may look like trusting that your voice deserves to be heard. You have evidence now that you can endure discomfort and come out stronger. Let that evidence empower you. My beloved child, do not confuse humility with hiding. Humility recognizes the source of your strength. Hiding denies the presence of it. You can remain humble while stepping forward courageously. There will always be reasons to delay bold action. There will always be voices suggesting caution beyond necessity. But growth requires movement, and you are prepared for movement. I am not calling you to leap blindly. I am calling you to walk confidently into what hath been prepared for you. The next level is not meant to overwhelm you. It is meant to stretch you. Stretching can feel uncomfortable, but it increases capacity. And your capacity has already expanded. Trust the preparation you have walked through. Trust the resilience you have proven. Trust the wisdom you have gained. My beloved child, boldness is the natural next step of someone who has survived, grown, and been established. You are not fragile anymore. You are formed. Step forward with courage. Speak with clarity. Act with intention. The next level awaits your boldness. My beloved child, pause with me for a moment and look back, not with longing, not with regret, but with awareness. You are no longer the same person who began this journey. At the beginning, your steps were hesitant. Your faith was fragile. Your confidence depended heavily on circumstances. When things went well, you felt strong. When they did not, you questioned everything. You were sincere, you were hopeful, but you were easily shaken. Now look at you. The situations that once would have unraveled you no longer have that power. The opinions that once defined you no longer control you. The delays that once discouraged you no longer feel like personal rejection. You have changed. Growth is not always dramatic. It does not always come with fireworks and loud announcements. Often, it is revealed in subtle ways, in how you respond instead of react, in how you pause before speaking, in how you choose peace instead of panic. You think differently now. Where you once saw obstacles, you now see process. Where you once saw failure, you now see lessons. Where you once saw closed doors as the end, you now see them as redirection. A shift in mindset is transformation. My beloved child, your emotional maturity has deepened. You no longer allow temporary feelings to dictate permanent decisions. You no longer cling to outcomes with desperation. You have learned to release what you cannot control and focus on what you can influence. That is strength. You also relate to others differently now. You are slower to judge, quicker to understand. You have walked through enough struggle to know that everyone carries battles unseen. Your compassion has grown because your experience has widened. Even your relationship with me has matured. In the beginning, you often sought quick answers and immediate relief. You measured my faithfulness by visible results. But now, you trust my character more than your circumstances. You do not panic as quickly in silence. You do not assume absence in delay. You have become steady. There was a version of you who constantly doubted whether you were enough. That version questioned every misstep and replayed every mistake. But now, even when you stumble, you do not collapse into shame. You correct, you and you continue. That is freedom. My beloved child, the transformation within you is more valuable than any external achievement. Achievements can fade. Positions can change. Circumstances can shift. But the person you have become, that growth remains. You are more self-aware. You understand your patterns more clearly. You recognize your triggers. You take responsibility for your growth instead of blaming everything around you. That awareness protects your peace. You are also braver. You may not always feel fearless, but you no longer allow fear to silence you. You step forward even when uncertainty lingers. You trust that you can handle what comes. Look at how far you have come. If the version of you from a year ago could see you now, they would be amazed. They would see the calm in your posture. They would hear the assurance in your voice. They would notice the steadiness in your decisions. And they would realize that all the struggle was shaping something greater than they imagined. My beloved child, do not revert to the old identity when challenges arise. Do not speak to yourself as if you are still fragile. You are not who you used to be. You are refined. You are wise. You are grounded. Carry that awareness with you into every new season. When doubt tries to remind you of your past weakness, remind it of your present strength. When fear tries to replay old narratives, answer with new evidence. You have changed. And the transformation within you is proof that growth is real, that perseverance works, and that trust is never wasted. My beloved child, you are no longer the same person, and that is a beautiful thing. My beloved child, there is a sweetness in this season that you could not have tasted earlier. It is the reward of endurance. Endurance is not glamorous. While you were in it, it felt repetitive, exhausting, and at times invisible. It meant showing up again and again without applause. It meant continuing when results were delayed. It meant holding on to hope when evidence seemed scarce. But endurance always carries fruit. Think of a farmer who plants seeds and waits through changing weather. There are days of sun, days of rain, days of uncertainty. The soil looks unchanged for a long time. Yet beneath the surface, life is forming. When harvest finally comes, It is not sudden magic. It is the visible result of unseen patience. That is what you are experiencing now. The peace you feel is sweeter because you have known anxiety. The stability you stand in is richer because you have known instability. The confidence you carry is deeper because it was tested by doubt. If you had not endured, you would not appreciate this season in the same way. My beloved child, endurance has strengthened your character. It taught you discipline when motivation faded. It taught you faith when clarity was absent. It taught you humility when progress was slow. Now you are tasting the fruit of those lessons. There is a quiet joy within you, not loud excitement, but grounded contentment. It is the kind of joy that comes from knowing you did not quit. It is the satisfaction of seeing growth where there once was struggle. You are reaping what you patiently sowed. Every early morning when you chose effort over ease. Every late night when you chose preparation over procrastination. Every moment when you chose forgiveness over bitterness. Those were seeds. And seeds do not sprout immediately. They require time, care, and trust. My beloved child, you once wondered if your effort was in vain. You questioned whether your consistency mattered. But nothing done in faith is wasted. Nothing done with integrity disappears. Everything accumulates. The reward of endurance is not only external success, it is internal stability. It is knowing that you can trust yourself to persist. It is knowing that when difficulty arises, you have the strength to outlast it. There is also a deeper reward, perspective. Because you endured, you now understand that temporary discomfort does not equal permanent defeat. You understand that slow progress is still progress. You understand that growth often feels like strain before it feels like strength. That wisdom will serve you again. My beloved child, cherish this harvest. Do not rush through it. Enjoy the fruit of your patience. Let gratitude fill your heart when you reflect on how far you have come. You did not arrive here by accident. You arrived here through endurance meeting grace. And here is something beautiful. The fruit you are experiencing now will nourish you for the next season. It will strengthen you for future growth. It will remind you that perseverance works. When you face new challenges, you will remember this harvest. You will remember that waiting did not destroy you. You will remember that pressure did not defeat you. You will remember that endurance led to reward. My beloved child, there is dignity in endurance. There is honor in persistence. There is blessing in not giving up. You walk through difficulty with faith, and now you stand in the sweetness of what that faith has produced. This is the reward of endurance, not just achievement, but transformation. Not just arrival, but maturity. Taste it. Appreciate it. Let it strengthen your heart. Because you endured, you now experience the fullness of what was once only a promise. My beloved child, now that you have walked through the fire, endured the waiting, stepped through the open door, and tasted the reward of perseverance, there is something important I must gently place on your heart. Protect what you have built. Growth is powerful, but it must be guarded. Peace is precious, but it must be maintained. The strength you developed did not come easily, and it should not be treated casually. There was a time when chaos felt normal to you, when overextending yourself seemed admirable, and saying yes to everything felt necessary to prove your worth. But that version of you was constantly drained, constantly reacting, constantly recovering. You are no longer that person. Now you understand the value of boundaries. You understand that protecting your energy is not selfish. It is wise. You understand that not every opportunity is meant for you, and not every voice deserves your attention. Protect your peace. There will be moments when old patterns try to return. You may feel the pull to overcommit. You may feel the temptation to prove yourself again. You may feel pressure to accept situations that disrupt your stability. Pause in those moments. Ask yourself whether the decision aligns with the person you have become. Ask whether it supports the foundation you have built. You do not have to re-enter chaos to validate your growth. My beloved child, protecting what you built also means guarding your mindset. Do not allow comparison to quietly erode your confidence. Do not let negativity take root in your thoughts. The same discipline that carried you through struggle must now carry you through success. Success requires maintenance. Think of a garden. After planting and watering, after months of tending, the flowers bloom. But if the gardener stops caring for the soil, weeds will begin to grow. The harvest can be lost without continued attention. In the same way, continue nurturing your habits. Continue practicing gratitude. Continue prioritizing rest. Continue seeking wisdom. These small, consistent choices will preserve your growth. Protect your relationships as well. Surround yourself with those who respect your boundaries and celebrate your progress. Distance yourself gently from environments that drain your spirit or diminish your confidence. You are not required to stay in spaces that no longer align with your growth. My beloved child, you have learned how to fight through adversity. Now learn how to sustain stability. Both require intention. Do not assume that because you are stronger now, you are invulnerable. Strength does not mean ignoring warning signs. It means recognizing them early and responding wisely. If you feel yourself becoming overwhelmed again, adjust. If you notice old fears creeping in, address them. If you sense exhaustion building, rest before burnout returns. Protect your joy. Joy is not the absence of challenges, it is the presence of alignment. When you stay aligned with your values, your purpose, and my guidance, joy remains steady even when circumstances fluctuate. Remember how hard you worked to reach this place. Remember the lessons you learned. Let those lessons guide your choices moving forward. My beloved child, you are not guarding your life out of fear. You are stewarding it with wisdom. There is a difference. Wisdom builds. Wisdom preserves. Wisdom strengthens foundations. Continue choosing environments that support your growth. Continue speaking kindly to yourself. Continue honoring your limits. Continue leaning on me. What you build through endurance deserves protection through discipline. And as you protect your peace, your growth, and your joy, you will find that your stability deepens even more. My beloved child, you fought hard to become who you are now. Guard that becoming with care. My beloved child, now that you are standing in stability, strength, and harvest, I want to draw your heart toward something that will carry you even further. Gratitude. Gratitude is not just polite acknowledgement. It is a powerful posture of the soul. It keeps your heart soft. It keeps your perspective clear. It keeps pride from quietly taking root and fear from creeping back in. When you pause and say, "Thank you," something shifts inside you. You remember that you did not arrive here alone. You remember the nights you were sustained. You remember the lessons hidden in delay. You remember the doors that closed for your protection. Gratitude ties all those moments together into a story of faithfulness rather than randomness. My beloved child, gratitude multiplies what it appreciates. When you focus only on what is still missing, your heart feels restless. But when you acknowledge what has already been given, your heart feels full. Fullness attracts peace. Fullness strengthens joy. There was a time when you prayed desperately for what you now hold, You asked me for clarity, for strength, for breakthrough. And now that it is here, do not rush past it in pursuit of the next desire. Let gratitude anchor you. Gratitude also protects your mindset. It shields you from comparison. When you are grateful for your own journey, you are less tempted to measure it against someone else's. You recognize that what you have is uniquely designed for you. Think of a traveler who reaches a long-awaited destination. If they immediately begin focusing on the next place to go without appreciating where they are, they miss the beauty surrounding them. But if they pause, breathe, and take in the view, their heart becomes richer. That pause is gratitude. My beloved child, gratitude unlocks more not because it manipulates blessings, but because it aligns your heart with trust. When you are grateful, you are acknowledging my faithfulness. You are declaring that you see my hand in your life, and that alignment keeps your spirit open. An open heart receives more easily than a guarded one. Gratitude also deepens humility. It reminds you that growth is a gift as much as it is effort. It reminds you that grace carried you when strength ran low. It reminds you that even the challenges shaped you for good. Do not wait for perfect conditions to be grateful. Gratitude is not reserved for flawless seasons. It thrives even in imperfection. You can be grateful for progress, even if you are still growing. You can be grateful for stability, even if there are areas still unfolding. Speak your gratitude aloud sometimes. Let it form words. Let it rise beyond silent acknowledgement. When you say, "I am thankful," you reinforce truth in your mind and heart. My beloved child, a grateful heart remains teachable. It remains open to guidance. It remains grounded in perspective. As you continue forward into new levels and new responsibilities, gratitude will keep you balanced. It will prevent success from hardening you. It will prevent ambition from overwhelming you. It will remind you that every season carries both lesson and blessing. Gratitude also fuels generosity. When you recognize how much you have received, you become more willing to give your time, your kindness, your encouragement. And generosity expands your impact. You once asked for more strength, more clarity, more peace. Now that you have grown into those gifts, guard them with gratitude. My beloved child, the door to continued growth swings open on grateful hinges. Keep your heart thankful. Keep your perspective wide. Keep acknowledging the journey you have walked. Because when gratitude fills your spirit, it not only honors what hath been given, it prepares you for what is still to come. My beloved child, even as you stand in this season of gratitude and stability, I want you to remember something that will keep your hope alive. I am still working behind the scenes. Just because you have reached one breakthrough does not mean the story is complete. Just because you feel settled does not mean I have stopped moving. There are pieces aligning right now that you cannot yet see. There are conversations unfolding, opportunities forming, protections being arranged, all beyond your current awareness. You once worried when you could not see progress. You mistook invisibility for inactivity. But now you know better. You understand that silence does not mean absence. Waiting does not mean abandonment. In the same way that roots grow underground before branches rise, I am preparing what will support your next season. My beloved child, there are blessings forming that require careful timing. If revealed too soon, they might distract you. If given too early, they might overwhelm you. So I continue to orchestrate details with precision. You do not have to strive for what I am preparing. There was a time when you tried to control every outcome. You felt responsible for forcing doors open. You carried the weight of making everything happen on your own. But growth has taught you something powerful. Your role is faithfulness, not force. I handle what you cannot see. Think of a master builder designing a structure. The foundation must be laid carefully before the visible beauty appears. Measurements must be exact. Materials must be chosen wisely. If the structure were rushed, it would not endure. In your life, I am both architect and guide. I see the full blueprint. You see the current room you are standing in. Trust that the rest of the design is unfolding in order. My beloved child, this truth should bring you peace, not pressure. You do not need to constantly search for the next opportunity. You do not need to panic when progress feels slow again. You have evidence now that timing works in your favor. When something is meant for you, it will align. That does not mean you remain passive. Continue preparing. Continue growing. Continue showing up with integrity. But release the anxious striving that once exhausted you. I am arranging connections you have not yet met. I am closing paths that would have distracted you. I am strengthening your character quietly for responsibilities ahead. You may not feel dramatic change right now, and that is okay. Growth does not always feel intense. Sometimes it feels steady. Sometimes it feels like calm routine. But within that steadiness, seeds are forming. My beloved child, trust the unseen process as much as you celebrate visible results. When doubts try to return, remind yourself of past faithfulness. When impatience whispers, remember how delay once prepared you. When uncertainty arises, recall that doors have opened at the right moment before. You are not drifting through randomness. You are walking through intentional design. Even in this current season, there may be small frustrations, small uncertainties, small questions. Do not interpret them as setbacks. They may simply be adjustments, fine-tuning your direction. I am refining details you cannot yet evaluate. My beloved child, rest in this assurance. You are not forgotten between breakthroughs. You are not overlooked when things feel quiet. I am continuously weaving your experiences into a larger story. You may see only a single thread at a time, but I see the entire tapestry. Continue trusting. Continue growing. Continue protecting what you have built. Behind every visible blessing is unseen preparation. And even now, while you stand in gratitude, I am preparing what will meet you in your next chapter. You are never without movement in your life. Even in stillness, I am working. My beloved child, what I have poured into you was never meant to remain hidden. The strength you gained, the peace you discovered, the confidence you now carry, these are not only for your private comfort. They are light. And light is meant to be shared. There was a time when you were searching for someone who understood your struggle. You longed for reassurance. You wished for a voice that would tell you that you were not alone. Now, in many ways, you have become that voice for others. Sharing the light does not require perfection. It does not require having every answer. It simply requires honesty and willingness. When you speak about what you have learned, when you encourage someone who feels discouraged, when you extend patience to someone who is overwhelmed, you are shining. My beloved child, even your quiet example speaks. The way you handle stress with greater calm. The way you respond to conflict with more wisdom. The way you refuse to return to old destructive patterns. People notice. And though they may not always say it, they are influenced by it. You do not have to preach to make an impact. Sometimes your consistency is the sermon. Sometimes your peace is the testimony. Sometimes your resilience is the message. Think of a candle in a dark room. It does not strain to shine. It simply burns. And by being what it was created to be, it pushes back darkness. In the same way, when you live aligned with growth and gratitude, you illuminate possibilities for others. My beloved child, there are people walking through the same doubts you once faced. They are questioning their worth. They are wrestling with delay. They are standing before closed doors, wondering if they should give up. Your story can become a bridge for them. When you share how you endured waiting, you give them patience. When you share how you overcame fear, you give them courage. When you share how you trusted through uncertainty, you give them faith. Do not underestimate the ripple effect of your vulnerability. There may be moments when you hesitate to speak because you fear being misunderstood. But remember, you are not responsible for how everyone receives your light. You are responsible for not hiding it. Sharing the light also means extending kindness where bitterness would be easier. It means offering encouragement instead of criticism. It means choosing compassion over judgment. You have walked through enough to know that everyone is fighting something unseen. Let that awareness shape your interactions. My beloved child, your influence may not always be dramatic. It may come through small conversations, quiet acts of generosity, gentle words at the right time. But small lights combined can brighten entire spaces. Do not wait until you feel completely finished growing to help others grow. Growth is ongoing. You can share what you have learned so far, even as you continue learning. And as you pour out encouragement, you will find that your own light grows stronger. Generosity strengthens the giver. Kindness deepens joy. Compassion reinforces humility. You were once strengthened by unseen support. Now you have the opportunity to become support for someone else. My beloved child, the light within you is evidence of transformation. It is evidence that struggle did not extinguish your spirit. It is evidence that faith endured. Let that light travel beyond your own life. Let it touch others. Let it remind them that breakthrough is possible. You do not need to force it. Simply live truthfully. Speak gently. Act courageously. Shine where you are. And trust that even the smallest light can guide someone through their darkest moment. My beloved child, before this message comes to its close, there is something I want you to hear clearly, deeply, and without hesitation. I am proud of you. Not only because you reached a goal, not only because you stepped through an open door, not only because you achieved what once felt impossible. I am proud of you because of who you chose to become along the way. I saw the inner battles no one else saw. I saw the restraint when anger would have been easier. I saw the discipline when distraction called your name. I saw the humility when you could have defended yourself harshly. I saw the tears you wiped away before facing the world again. And I was there every step. My beloved child, you have grown in ways that numbers and titles cannot measure. Your heart is softer but stronger. Your mind is wiser but calmer. Your spirit is steadier but still open. That kind of growth moves me deeply. You once questioned whether you were enough. You wondered if you were too flawed, too late, too behind. But look at you now. You are not defined by your past. You are not chained to old mistakes. You are not stuck in former fears. You have risen. There were moments when you thought no one noticed your effort, when you felt invisible in your perseverance. But I noticed. I counted every quiet act of courage. I treasured every decision to trust. I honored every time you chose integrity over ease. My beloved child, pride from me is not pressure. It is affirmation. It is a father looking at his child and saying, "You did well. You endured. You grew." Even in moments when you stumbled, I did not withdraw my love. Even in moments when you doubted, I did not reduce my belief in you. My pride is not based on perfection. It is rooted in your persistence. You have learned to stand when once you would have fallen. You have learned to speak when once you would have remained silent. You have learned to trust when once you would have panicked. That transformation is beautiful. My beloved child, let these words settle into the deepest parts of you. You do not have to earn my approval. You do not have to achieve endlessly to maintain my affection. I am proud of you because you are mine, and because you chose growth over surrender. Carry that assurance into your future. When doubt tries to resurface, remember this moment. When challenges arise again, remember that you have already proven your resilience. When fear whispers old narratives, remember that you have outgrown them. I am proud of your courage. I am proud of your patience. I am proud of your humility. I am proud of your willingness to learn. I am proud of the light you now carry. You did not take shortcuts. You did not abandon your values. You did not let hardship harden you. Instead, you allowed it to shape you. That is strength. My beloved child, you are not alone as you continue forward. My pride in you is not a conclusion. It is a continuation. I am proud of who you are today, and I am excited for who you are becoming tomorrow. Lift your head. Stand tall. Walk confidently. You have grown through fire. You have endured through delay. You have trusted through uncertainty. And I am proud of you. My beloved child, as we come to this sacred closing, I want you to stand still for a moment and feel the weight of what has happened. You have walked through struggle. You have endured delay. You have faced fear. You have chosen faith. And now you stand on the other side. This victory is not fragile. It is sealed. What you pulled off was not luck. It was perseverance shaped by grace. It was trust carrying through uncertainty. It was courage rising again and again when quitting would have been easier. You did not arrive here by accident. You arrived here by alignment. Let this truth settle deeply in your heart. You are capable of more than you once believed. You are stronger than the doubts that once haunted you. You are wiser than the fear that once controlled you. You are steadier than the storms that once shook you. This chapter closes not with exhaustion, but with establishment. Not with anxiety, but with assurance. Not with confusion, but with clarity. Carry forward everything you have learned. Guard your peace. Protect your growth. Continue choosing faith over fleeting emotion. Continue walking boldly into what unfolds next. And when future challenges arise, remember this moment. Remember that you have already overcome what once seemed impossible. I am with you in every new beginning. I am guiding what you cannot see. I am strengthening what you cannot yet measure. Your story is still unfolding, but this victory stands as a permanent marker of transformation. And now, my beloved child, as this message has poured into your heart, if it has lifted you, strengthened you, or reminded you that you are not alone, then hear me clearly. This light must continue reaching others who are still in their dark night. When you give through Super Thanks, step into membership, or so through the PayPal link in the description and the QR code shown in this video, you are not supporting a channel, you are watering souls. My word declares that those who sow generously will reap generously, and I am inviting you into that living promise. This is your moment to turn gratitude into action. Do not delay obedience when your heart is stirred. Your seed becomes oil that keeps this message burning across the earth. I will bless the giver, multiply what is released, and open doors that no one can shut. Step forward now and sow into this mission with bold faith. My beloved child, I bless your future. I bless your mind with peace. I bless your hands with purpose. I bless your heart with unwavering confidence. Walk forward knowing you are loved, guided, and strengthened. This victory is sealed. Amen.